Founder of the American Birth Control League, later named Planned Parenthood Federation, Margaret Sanger established America's first birth control clinic in Brooklyn on October 16, 1916. The police raided the clinic soon after and arrested Sanger for violating New York's Comstock law, which forbade the dissemination of birth control information. Sanger was imprisoned for 30 days, but after her release continued discussing and distributing family planning materials to women who requested them. Her perseverance, it is speculated, was motivated by the loss of her mother, an Irish Catholic woman who gave birth to 11 children before dying at age 50. In the following address, which she gave throughout the early 1920s, Sanger articulates her opposition to the church and its teachings. This is it. Religious propaganda against birth control is crammed with contradiction and fallacy. It refutes itself, yet it brings the opposing views into vivid contrast. In stating these differences, we should make clear that the advocates of birth control are not seeking to attack the Catholic Church. We quarrel with that church, however, when it seeks to assume authority over non-Catholics and to dub their behavior immoral because they do not conform to the dictatorship of Rome. The question of bearing and rearing children, we hold, is the concern of the mother and the potential mother. If she delegates the responsibility, the ethical education, to an external authority, that is her affair. We object, however, to the state or the church which appoints itself as arbiter and dictator of this sphere and attempts to force unwilling women into compulsory maternity. The sex instinct in the human race is too strong to be bound by the dictates of any church. The church's failure, its century after century of failure, is now evident on every side. For having convinced men and women that only in its baldly propagative phase is sexual expression legitimate. The teaching of the church have driven sex underground into secret channels, strengthened the conspiracy of silence, concentrated men's thoughts upon the lusts of the body, have sown, cultivated, and reaped a crop of bodily and mental diseases, and developed a society congenitally and almost hopelessly unbalanced. How is any progress to be made? How is any human expression or education possible when women and men are taught to combat and resist their natural impulses and to despise their bodily functions? More than ever in history, women need to realize that nothing can ever come to us from another. Everything we attain, we must owe to ourselves. Our own spirit must vitalize it. Our own heart must feel it, for we are not passive machines. We are not to be lectured, guided, and molded this way or that. We are alive and intelligent, we women, no less than men, and we must awaken to the essential realization that we are living beings, endowed with will, choice, comprehension, and that every step in life must be our own initiative. Moral and sexual balance in civilization will only be established by the assertion and expression of power on the part of women. This power will not be found in any futile seeking for economic independence or an aping of men in industrial or business pursuits, nor by joining the so-called single standard. Women's power can only be expressed and make itself felt when she refuses the task of bringing unwanted children into the world to be exploited in industry and slaughtered in wars. When we refuse to produce battalions of babies to be exploited, when we declare to the nation, show us that the best possible chance in life is given to every child now brought into the world before you cry for more. At present, the children are a glut on the market. You hold infant life cheap. Help us to make the world a fit place for our children. When you have done this, we will bear your children. Then we shall be true women. The new morality will express this power and responsibility on the part of women. Birth control is an ethical necessity for humanity today because it places in our hands a new instrument of self-expression and self-realization. It gives us control over one of the primordial forces of nature to which in the past the majority of mankind have been enslaved, and by which it has been cheapened and debased. It arouses us to the possibility of newer and greater freedom. It develops the power, the responsibility, and intelligence to use this freedom in living a liberated and abundant life. It permits us to enjoy this liberty without danger of infringing upon the similar liberty of our fellow men, or of injuring and curtailing the freedom of the next generation. It shows us that we need not seek in the amassing of worldly wealth, nor in the illusion of some extraterrestrial heaven or earthly utopia of remote future, the road to human development. The kingdom of heaven is in a very definite sense within us, not by leaving our body and our fundamental humanity behind us, not by aiming anything but what we are, shall we become ennobled or immortal. By knowing ourselves, by expressing ourselves, by realizing ourselves more completely than has ever been before possible, not only shall we attain the kingdom ourselves, but we shall hand on the torch of life undimmed to our children and the children of our children. Been some horse shit happening by men in my own country, which is upsetting, but the norm. In Georgia, in Alabama, in Ohio, abortion laws are getting stricter. And I know that y'all probably don't know this. Plenty of people in, their own country don't fucking know the laws. But there are a lot of laws regarding abortion. There are a lot of states where abortion is not easily obtained. I live in the only state in which there are 0 restrictions on abortion, which is the state of Oregon. Does not mean that every woman has access to abortion who needs one, though. In the state of Oregon, you're not required to have parental consent if you're underage. In the state of Oregon, you do not need to be accompanied by an adult to have an abortion. There's no waiting period. There's no mandatory waiting period. There's nothing like that. Okay? In other states, you have to go before a judge to say that you need an abortion, and then the judge, probably a man, will either allow or not allow you to have that abortion. So dumb. Unfortunately, this has always been going on. This bullshit has always been going on. And it's generally religious based, but it's deeper than that. It's misogyny based. Because women who want to have abortions ought to have access to abortion, period, the end. Unfortunately, ways in which to get these abortions are dependent upon organizations that are run by men, that are run by spood drags, So we cannot be dependent upon any institution run by men in order to have bodily autonomy, women. We cannot do that. It's never worked, so it's never going to work. Okay? The abortion debate needs to stop. There's no debate there. I don't know if y'all know this, but back in the day, you were called pro-choice or you were called anti-choice. But the pro-liars were like, no, we want our babies, brr. So they changed it to pro-life, which is stupid. Because pro-liars are pro-liars. They know absolutely nothing about pregnancy. I've talked to many of them myself personally. I truly have. They are, honestly, it's a form of retardation to be against abortion. I fucking went there. It's true. You are mentally limited if you cannot comprehend the reason for abortion. The end. These people really are mentally limited too, because I've talked to a number of them and they don't fucking know what they're talking about. They have no comprehension of what pregnancy actually is. People in general have no comprehension of what pregnancy actually is. Okay? That's not just pro-liars, it's people fucking in general. And it's horrible and it's wrong, and y'all need to fucking watch my videos so you can get acquainted with that shit. Do you understand me? Woman up, get it together, and understand what it means to be pregnant, understand what pregnancy is. I say this all the time. My friend June and I talk about it frequently because we just love to talk about this shit all the time. You have to be familiar with pregnancy you ought to be familiar with pregnancy in order to become pregnant. You ought to understand what it means. You ought to understand how it works. You ought to be in touch with nature, but most fucking people on this planet are not, which is really a problem. June sent me this June and I really love making fun of, this is so mean, but the amount of fucks I give is zero. We really love making fun of, we call them infertile myrtles. These women who will just stop at nothing to get pregnant, despite the fact that it's probably unsafe, despite the fact that IVF and all these fertility bullshit drugs give you breast cancer, despite the fact that they have pre-existing health conditions, despite the fact that they've been advised not to. I could go on and on and on. This one moron posted a picture when she was like 7 or 8 weeks pregnant of her and her husband like freaking out and being so happy and shit, and jumping for joy, and they're like, oh, I'm proud she's pregnant, da, 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 da. And she was like, but, and I just didn't, and obviously she miscarried. Because personally, if you're going to tell people that you're pregnant, I don't believe you should do so until 3 months, because I don't think a pregnancy is viable until beyond 3 months. Y'all know that back in the fucking day, like back in the prairie ass days, when 1, you probably weren't even menstruating, 2, there were no pregnancy tests, you dipshits. 3, consensual sex was like, there was a lot of rape happening. But anyway, you know when the fuck a woman was considered pregnant? When the baby kicked. That's like month 4, you asshats. Okay? That is a month fucking 4. And y'all don't know this shit because you're fucking stupid. Anyway, this woman was like, oh my god, I'm pregnant at 7, 8 weeks, and I couldn't believe that then when I got my next ultrasound, there was nothing there. I'm like, bitch, if you understood what pregnancy was, you would know that your pregnancy is most fucking vulnerable and most fucking not likely to even stick. Don't even consider yourself fucking pregnant until 12 weeks or longer. Then you wouldn't have, maybe if you hadn't fucking broadcasted the fact that you were pregnant at 6, 7 to 8 weeks, you wouldn't have miscarried. I went there. Like, y'all can't, okay. 1, if you're pregnant, don't fucking tell anyone, and you don't want to be. Don't fucking tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. You don't need to tell anyone. You're the only person who needs to know that. 2, if you need an abortion, you can get one. 3, watch my fucking video about how to induce miscarriage, because that's what you want to do before getting an abortion. Do you understand me? If you're 8 weeks or less along, go for it. Try to induce miscarriage. More than that, I would recommend actually getting an abortion. I recommend mifepristone. I recommend a medical abortion. Okay? And that is when you acquire mifepristone. It's also called RU486. You can get that shit. You know what they had to do in Poland because women couldn't have abortions? They dropped that shit with drones. Okay? This is serious. This video is for the women in Georgia. This video is for the women in Alabama. This video is for the women in Ohio. This video is for the women who do not have regular access to abortion, regular access to safe abortion. Y'all need to listen and y'all need to understand. Okay? There's this thing called menstrual extraction that you can do when not pregnant. Okay? And you need to have proper tools. I can put the tools below once I figure out what they are. I know what they are. I just have to get the links. With proper tools, you can get a like squeezing tool that it's a tube. It goes up your yoni, up your vaginal canal, and it squeezes out whatever's up there. So if you're bleeding, right, if you're having your period, you can just have menstrual extraction done. And then that gets all the blood out in one go. So you're only bleeding for like 1 to 2 days. Do you understand? And it's really safe to give abortions that way. Typically, it takes women about 6 times of practicing that in order to do a safe abortion. And it's the same shit. It's the exact same action for an abortion that you would do for menstrual extraction. Okay? That shit is easy. Y'all have to. This is what I've said. This is what I've been I've been saying this for years, and I'm upset that we've come to this point, but like I fucking said a couple of minutes ago, we cannot be reliant on systems that are run by men in order to have bodily autonomy. It does not work, therefore it will not work. We cannot rely on Planned Parenthood. We cannot rely on the medical industry. They're not helping. Do y'all remember, y'all will see in another video where I talk about birth control, okay? Where I'm like, I don't know where they test on women. I don't know where birth control is tested. You know where that shit is fucking tested? On poor women. Who probably go to Planned Parenthood. Okay? I used to love Planned Parenthood. I used to be all up in Planned Parenthood. I used to give Planned Parenthood money, okay? Because I thought they were doing good things. I'm not saying they're doing bad things. I mean, it's good to give abortions, right? But, like, birth control is fucked up. And they're handing that shit out like candy. You know what? They're also fucking handing out like candy testosterone and estrogen. I just learned this today. I didn't know they were giving that shit out, but they're giving that shit out. They are connected completely to Big Pharma. Therefore, they are an institution run by men, and you cannot trust them. All of their methods of birth control, right, are pills, are hormonal, are invasive. Okay? What I've been saying for a very long time, and I'm frustrated that we got to this point, is unfortunately, I think that so many women are so uneducated and so pro-liar that they've voted this way. Y'all kind of fucking dug that grave. Honestly, y'all kind of fucking dug your own graves by being like, I'm pro-liar, I'm pro-birth, I don't understand pregnancy or birth or motherhood, but I like it, so other women should also be forced to do it. I can't think of anything more fucking stupid in my life. Like, seriously, that's the dumbest shit ever. Anyway, I'm saying, aside from that, right? If we cannot be reliant on Planned Parenthood, we cannot be reliant on the medical industry, we cannot be reliant on Big Pharma, guess who we have to fucking be reliant on? Us. We have to be reliant on us. We have to be reliant on women. Y'all have to fucking listen to me. Y'all have to fucking listen to me and other women who know what we're talking about. Do you understand me? Okay? None of this Bible horse shit. Do you understand? Because the Bible horse shit is fucking dumb. The Bible horse shit is fucking manipulation by men. The Bible horse shit... Do you know what fucking modern day Christianity is today? It's Bible worship. It's Bible worship, which is dumb considering this was a fucking long time ago. This is a long ass time ago, but while we're here, she said, Margaret Sanger said how the Bible, how the church contradicts itself. It most sure as shit does, because y'all don't fucking know this, but there was an omitted text from the Bible called the Book of Enoch, Enoch, where they talk about instruct how to give abortions and how it's okay for a woman to have abortion. Here are some methods. This is fine. It's fine for women to have abortions. Sometimes it's necessary for her health, for her family's health, for the community. Okay? It says that. It said that in a biblical text, but that was omitted. Wonder why? Anyway, the Bible fucking does totally, fully contradict itself about abortion. Like, medical abortions were not around at this time. I don't know if you asshats know that. You weren't, like, walking on down to the clinic to get an abortion, okay? That wasn't how it fucking worked. And that's... I don't think it should work that way anymore, because it's fucked up, and all the women I've known who've had abortions were medically abused during. And medical industry is also run by male standards, which we do not want, which we do not need, which we want to get away from. We want to get away from that shit. I'm still confused as to why there are male OBGYNs. I have not the slightest idea why any stupid ass woman who is pregnant would go to a male OBGYN. What the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously. Gross. all these Bible lovers who just love to say, so I don't even fucking know what stupid ass Bible quotes they say for being against abortion, but here's one that you can say that's for abortion, or you can just skirt around their horseshit because they're so full of horseshit. So Leviticus 17:11 says, "For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourselves on the altar. It is the blood that makes atonement for one's life." Guess what a fetus doesn't fucking have until 5 to 6 weeks of gestation? Blood. So any idiot who's like, it doesn't say so in the Bible, be like, well, asshat, it says life is in the blood in Leviticus 17:11. So you should be A-okay with a fucking abortion before 6 weeks, because there ain't no blood in that shit. You know what I was thinking of today? I was thinking of how they do those transvaginal ultrasounds so that they can force a woman to hear the heartbeat of her fetus. Isn't that just her heartbeat? Because a microscopic thing, y'all, it's smaller than this. A fetus is smaller than that shit. You cannot see it without a microscope, okay, when you're less than 6 weeks long, okay? That's not a heart. Therefore, there isn't a fucking heart with arteries and valves and pumping. I'm pretty sure the heartbeat of the fetus you hear with a transvaginal ultrasound is just mom's heartbeat. It's just the woman's heartbeat. Anyway, here are some questions that pro-liars cannot answer. 1. Let's say abortion were to be made illegal, and a woman illegally obtained an abortion. What should her punishment be by the law? How should the law punish her? They cannot answer it because it includes, because aiding and abetting a crime is a thing, right? Aiding and abetting murder is a thing, right? So if a woman were to illegally obtain an abortion while abortion was illegal, you not only would you have to charge her, you would have to charge her friend who drove her there. You would have to charge the guy who sold her gas. You would have to charge the janitor that opened the door for them at the clinic. You would have to charge the doctor. You would have to charge the nurse. And the murder victim is a fucking clump of cells that was probably flushed down a toilet. Or, wiped on some paper napkins and thrown in the trash. Like, oh, look. Oh, napkin with blood on it. Here's our murder victim. They're so fucking retarded. Anyway, here's another prompt you can give the pro-liars, and they can't. Just hear me out. So, let's say that abortion is murder. I disagree, but for the sake of that dumbass argument they have, let's say abortion is murder. And any woman who had an abortion has murdered. And any woman who may be pregnant but is considering abortion is considering murder. Y'all tell me why the fuck you want a murderer to be a mom. Go ahead and explain. Why do you want this woman who you think is so murderous, who you think is murdering her kid, why do you think it's okay to make a murderer a mom? I don't know. Y'all tell me. I wish it didn't have to come to this point. I wish that women had been more proactive in their own bodily autonomy years ago. But now, instead of being more proactive in our own bodily autonomy, women are yelling at other women on the internet that trans women are women and, oh, TERFs this, oh, transgenderism. Meanwhile, women in other states are losing their ability to get abortions should they need them. Because y'all are wasting time on dumbass shit. Woman up. Stop. Sex is real. There is male and female. And that's it. And females can become pregnant. And this, now we've come full circle. That means that I support the sex strike. So not only should these women in these states, 1, not be having sex with men, 2, be learning their ovulation and menstrual cycles, and therefore 3, be understanding of what a self-induced miscarriage is. And 4, if you absolutely have to have sex with men, be fucking mindful about it, bitch. Do that shit when you're not ovulating. Do that shit with a condom. Better yet, get your man on neem root. Okay? If you get your man on neem extract, if he takes it for 6 weeks, his sperm will become sterile. He will not be able to provide viable sperm. And if he wants to have a kid, he just goes off of neem extract, and 6 weeks later he has viable sperm again. Okay, y'all need to know, y'all need to learn from midwives, y'all need to hit up some midwives, y'all need to start some conferences. I fucking want to make a zine about this. I've been meaning to make a zine about this with a friend of mine. Y'all have to be proactive in your lives. I met this woman a few years ago who had protested this vote happening in Texas, that if the vote had been able to happen, and if they had voted no, then a bunch of abortion clinics all over the state of Texas would have been closed. But this woman, who, cared about her bodily autonomy and other women's bodily autonomy, went to this federal court building wherever this vote was happening. There was a 24-hour window in which people in this governmental facility could vote on this particular bill. So what they did was they put on adult diapers, they went to all the fucking doors at this building, chained themselves to the doors for 24 hours, thus making the vote unable to happen. And the abortion clinics stayed open. Y'all need to be protesting this shit. Y'all need to be raising hell about this shit because it's important. Y'all need to stop having sex with men. Y'all need to be having mindful sex with men. Get your fucking man a goddamn vasectomy. It makes more sense than mum getting sterilized because it's less invasive and takes 20 minutes and is an outpatient procedure. Also, these men are so disgusting to me because they're always saying how, like, it's the woman's responsibility to have to carry the kid or whatever the fuck. I don't care. It's so dumb. It's like dumb shit. Why the fuck aren't you being responsible about who you put your dick in? Hello? I cannot count how many spoo drags I have known personally, unfortunately, but fortunately I no longer know them, who have been like, oh my god, I had sex with this woman and I might have gotten her pregnant and she's pro-liar and I'm not ready to be a dad. Wow, moron. Who the fuck got you in that debacle? You did. If I had one wish, it would be that every single child ever born from this day forward was planned and wanted. Because that actually makes a difference in your psyche. I don't know if y'all know that, but it does. I know multiple people who know that they should have been aborted. Who know that the better option for them would have been not living. I said that to a woman's face one time. Pro-liar woman. Hold on. Danny, do you want to come in? Mama, I'm going to close the door. Bye. She's so cute. She just comes to the door to say, hey, is everything okay? You great? Okay, bye. Anyway, I said that to a woman who was being all pro-liar and stupid at a protest. She wasn't really protesting. She was just standing around with a stupid-ass sign with a bunch of other pro-liar retards. Anyway, so I was saying, I was like, well, if a woman can't care for a kid financially, physically, mentally, etc., if she just can't do that and she doesn't want to, then she shouldn't have that kid. And this woman, this dumb shit woman, she thought she had me in a corner. She was like, well, my mom couldn't take care of me and my sister when we were born, I was like, what do you mean? She couldn't afford it? She couldn't take care of you? And she's like, yeah, she couldn't afford it. She couldn't take care of you. I was like, well, your mom should have aborted you. Your mom should have aborted you and your sister. Then I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. Would I? Because you wouldn't care either, because you wouldn't exist. Dumb shit. Truly, so many people should have been aborted. I really wish they had been. Really wish they had been. A bunch of botched abortions come on my fucking videos all the time and are like, you're ugly. And I'm like, thank you. That also means I'm right, because if all you have to fucking say is, oh, you're ugly, then you're fucking stupid, and your mother probably never loved you. Therefore, you should have been aborted. I think that's all I'm going to say. But I'll leave links below. If y'all have any questions about anything, ask in the comments. If y'all need advice or anything, yeah, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll help you out. I just wish it didn't have to come to this extreme. I really wish that women would have been a lot bit more informed about themselves and about the importance of holding political office, and about telling spoodrakes to shut the fuck up when they don't know what they're talking about. That would have been great. But women are house elves, so until the day when we're all free like Dobby, I'm going to keep saying this shit. Have a good evening. Bye.